thrill and honor to introduce our first presenter, Kaylin Castell. I'll give you the blurb and then I'll give you a little bit more. Kaylin is an alchemical astrologer and the co-creatrix of Venus Alchemy and My Star Alchemy. Kaylin enjoys sharing these mysteries through personal readings, online and in-person events, articles, classes, and videos, coming from the visionary understanding that we inform the mysteries as much as they inform us. I have known Kaylin for many, many years. There is nothing more thrilling than to have a reading with Kaylin Castell. She is insightful, she is knowledgeable, she's also kind, compassionate, and considerate, and her wisdom is as vast as the universe that she studies. So it is my true delight to welcome Kaylin Castell.
Oh, Bonnie, thank you so much. I could say a lot of the same about you too. So thank you. Thank you. Very excited to share with you. I'm going to put some slides on the screen here and so that we can, I'm a visual person and just always want to say that if you're not familiar with the astrological language, this can be overwhelming. Because we've been so trained and conditioned to try to get everything with our left brain, rational, linear, logical mind. I'm going to invite you to suspend that. And as Bonnie suggested, you can go back and watch this again and again. Plus, you're going to have access to the slides, so you can go back and review them as well. And so I also want you to know that some of the things I'm only just barely touch on. I did a video with Kathy Forrest last year looking at 2023 and me, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but you can if you want the deeper knowing, you can go and watch that video as well. So and I'll tell you some of the things that will be more explained in the video with Kathy that I'm just going to touch on here. So 2023andMe, I started thinking about this because of course 23andMe is the one of the ways you can find out your DNA lineage and you know, your health and all of those things through 23andMe. And I was thinking 23andMe, but the me in the story of Inanna, and the story of Inanna from the Sumerian perspective is the story of Venus making her descent into the underworld, where she dies to who she thinks she is, and then she's reborn to who she really is. But there's also a part of the story where she gets the sacred me, and they are the clay tablets that are encoded, like our DNA is encoded, with divine knowledge, including the planets and stars. So I've been having fun with that. And as Bonnie said in the intro, this is really about how much we inform the mysteries as much as they inform us, because this was something that was taken away from people. And it was done so to have more power and control. So as we get this knowledge and information back, we become more empowered. And that's one of the reasons I'm super passionate about it. So I wanted to start with a little prayer to the grandmothers. And the reason is the current Venus cycle that we're in. Venus is she is in the cycle of the Capricorn cycle. And this has the most to do with the grandmothers, the elders, the wise ones. And so we've been honoring the grandmothers throughout this cycle. And Venus did just go through the sacral chakra gate. So I'm inviting everyone to place their hands on their belly to take in these words, if that feels comfortable to you. And here we go. Grandmothers, wise and loving ones, you who know the ways of love, the ways of peace, the ways of cooperation, collaboration, and conscious co-creation, the ways of health and well-being that vibrate with love, the ways of duality within great mystery, the ways of light and dark and the gifts of each, the ways of time, creating new, wise, sustainable timelines, the ways of inspired action, creating more love, more joy, more aliveness than we ever thought possible. Sacred grandmothers, thank you for guiding us to learn these wise ways, so that we bring forth the new earth within us, benefiting all life everywhere. With gratitude, it is done, it is so, and so it is. Blessed be. And following up on that is just another way of introducing some of the ideas of why we do this work. The book Star Walking, Shamanic Practices for Traveling into the Night Sky by Paige Bryant was written in the 90s, or at least it was published in the 90s. She has since passed, but these words are just so amazing. So just inviting you to take them in and to recognize that this is a way for us to reclaim something that has been taken from us. Our ancestors made use of the power inherent within individual stars, the esoteric knowledge of the constellations, the secrets of celestial computations and of cosmic order. The cultures who possessed that vast body of wisdom in its entirety were able to answer vital questions about the nature of the universe and make giant leaps in evolution. They taught that all life is sacred and that all is alive. Every star, every planet, every tree, every stone, everything. That knowledge gave them a technology that still puzzles us today. So this is something that is what we're going to be looking at. And I'm going to start with, and I've done this before, I tend to start with the largest context that we are at this turning of a great year. 26,000 year galactic alignment. This can only happen every 26,000 years. Well, 25,920 years, I think, but we just rounded up to 26,000. And this is was calculated by an astronomer named John Muse. The center point was 1998 when the sun is on the galactic cross, the plane of the Milky Way, and this is the Milky Way band here, the center point of that line, and the plane of our solar system, also the path that the planets follow, cross in two places in the sky, and one of them is near galactic center. And the 0 Capricorn point is on this cross, and it can only be here every 26,000 years because these points move 1 degree every 72 years. So if we look at the 1 degree prior to the exact point, that would be 1926, and the 1 degree after the precise point, that would be 2070. So we know we're in this window. If we look at the half a degree on either side of that, it'd be from 1962 to 2034. Either way, we're in this massive turning of a great year, way bigger than the so-called age of Aquarius, which might be called the age of the water bearer instead of Aquarius, because it's this, they're calculating that from the 0 Aries point, and it gets really confusing. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So here we are at the February cross quarter, and I just wanted to mention this briefly because I think someone else is going to go into this more deeply. But this happens when the sun reaches 15 degrees Aquarius, and that's usually on February 3rd. Today it's happening around 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time when the sun reaches that exact point. And it's often has been celebrated as Imbolc, and this is being in the belly of the mother. So the seeds in the earth are starting to stir and to shake and to open and for new growth to come. And we're getting the longer days coming now. So it's something I thought you, for those who might not know, how the sun moves up and down the horizon at the different seasons. So at the December solstice, the sun is at its furthest southern point when we're in the northern hemisphere. And then it starts to move towards the March equinox to the exact east or west point. And so, so it's like a pendulum, and it moves back and forth up and down the horizon. So on February 15th, at 15 Aquarius, we have the cross quarter at the exact halfway point between the December solstice and the March equinox. And that in the northern hemisphere, that happens to be it happens to be between winter solstice and spring. So here we are at that halfway point. And then we get to the equinox, and then the next cross quarter is when the sun reaches 15 Taurus in May. And then we get to the June solstice when the sun reaches 0 Cancer, then it starts to come back. And on August 15th, in August, early August, the sun reaches 15 Leo. Then we get back to the September equinox or the Libra equinox. And then the next cross quarter, November, is when the sun reaches 15 Scorpio. And then we come back to the December solstice. So you can see how it's moving up and down. Now, what's interesting is that the sun can never be more than 23.5 degrees north or south of east and west. that this is where these are the boundaries, and we can say it's the boundaries of our reality. So sometimes planets can go outside these boundaries. And in fact, today, the moon is outside these boundaries, and so is Mars and the north point. So we would see the sun and the moon a little bit, and I'll show you, I mean, not sun, moon and Mars in this northern point here. Now, it's outside of ordinary or everyday reality, so it's a wild card factor, and it can disrupt what we think we know is real to expand possibilities in unusual ways. And so this is a time that we can work with at this crust quarter with these out of bounds planets, that we're energizing something new that hasn't maybe even been thought of. And we'll see, especially where Mars happens to be located now. Now, I'm not going into this, but these are where the out of bounds planets are in 2023, and you have access to these slides that'll be posted with the video. And these are the out of bounds planets right now, I mean, moon right now, for all of 2023, all from January to December. And today, you can see here we have February 3, we have the moon is out of bounds. Now, these dates, I just gave the 2 dates of the highest point of where it's the most out of bounds, but it's out of bounds for at least a day or 2 before and after the exact most extreme point. And so these are times that we can work with. And the reason this is happening is because we're going into the lunar standstill, and I'll mention that in a moment. But meanwhile, here's the chart for today, 6 p.m. This is Arizona at 6 p.m., but it will be true for wherever you are. You'll go out, you'll see Saturn low on the horizon. Above Saturn, you'll see Venus. And above Venus, you'll see Jupiter. Now, you won't see the sun. And I just put this in here because this is the reason why the whole age of Aquarius thing is a little bit questionable. Because here's where the March equinox sun is rising. The 0 Aries point is rising in the head of the fish. The fish, also known as Pisces, but it's 0 Aries. So what we have done is we're taking a different name for the constellations than for the seasonal signs, because that's what creates the confusion. Now, the water bear has also been called Aquarius, and Venus, currently at 9 Pisces, is in the water bear. And so she's not in the sign of Pisces. She's in the sign of, in the sign of Aquarius. She's in the sign of Pisces, but she's in the constellation that's also called Aquarius. Hence why there's a different name for that. And that's helping us to begin to see that there's a difference between the constellations and the signs. And the ages have been named after the names of the constellations of, like, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, and they use the spring equinox as the point to start that. But that's only one point on the cross of the cross of the equinoxes and solstices. So here's where the June solstice sun is rising on the hand of, they say, the high man. I sometimes like to think she might be a high woman, but Orion, the hunter. And so there's the plane of the galaxy is coming through here. The Milky Way band comes through here, and then the plane of the solar system or the path of the planets comes through here. And so what we can see here is that Mars is off the band. It's out of bounds. It's outside the boundaries of where the sun will be on this band. And so is the moon off the band. And you'll see this tonight, and you'll see Mars above Aldebaran. They're 2 red stars. I got to see them last night. They're stunning. And the moon will still be you'll be able to see Sirius and the moon tonight this is around 6 p.m. after the sky darkens. So this is something pretty cool to see. Now, just so you know, Mars, you can see on the chart here, it's at almost 11 degrees Gemini, and it's in the constellation of the Bull. Aldebaran is 10 degrees Gemini, so they're still very close together or aligned, but they're in the constellation of the Bull, also known as Taurus, which is why people get confused if you say, oh, Mars is in Gemini, but you wouldn't imagine it being in this constellation necessarily. So Mars with Aldebaran is the eye of the bull. And it's one of the 4 royal stars and one of the magical stars of the ancient alchemists, who would work with these, whenever a planet was within 6 degrees of one of these stars, that's when they make their talismans, their elixirs, their potions, do their high ceremony. with intention. So we have that opportunity now as Mars is with this star. And it's the eye of the bull, meaning it has to do with our perception. And so how is Mars activating a new perception, a new way for us to see? And Mars has been hanging out here for several weeks, and it'll be here for a little while longer. Now, I'm just going to touch on the 19-year lunar standstill, because this is something that is spoken about a lot more in the Era of the Empress video with Kathy Forrest that I mentioned, that you'll have access to. But every 19 years, the moon reaches its most extreme out of bounds, but it kind of inches its way up to that. Let's put it that way. So for about 3 years before and 3 years after, the moon can be outside the boundaries of the sun. And so you can see it's like, so the moon is starting to be outside the boundaries, but when it gets to its most extreme, and the moon is in Cancer right now, it's getting pretty close to the extreme. That will happen in 2025. And then when it's in, so when the moon is in Gemini Cancer, it's the only time it can ever be out of bounds. Any planet can only be out of bounds when they're in Gemini Cancer and Sagittarius Capricorn. So here's why this is so remarkable, and ancient cultures were tracking it, and they were paying attention to it. In Chimney Rock in Colorado, the only time anything rises between the chimneys that's a planet is the moon, every 19 years. And they were building kivas every 19 years to, and they would have like 3 or 4 years to build the kiva, because they would see that it was starting to happen. And then they would do their high ceremony at that time. It took a archaeoastronomer named Kilton Malville to figure out why they were building kivas every 19 years. It had to do with the lunar standstill. And then here's the moon in the circle. It's at the Standing Stones in Callanish in Scotland. And the moon can only be visible in this way at the 19-year lunar standstill. So they were tracking it too. It's like when the moon walks the land at the calling of the cuckoo, the shining ones will return. So more and more details about all that coming, or in the 2023 Era of the Empress video that you'll have access to. But, you know, we got to keep moving here. So because all the planets are moving forward. And I talked about this also in that video. January 22nd was when Uranus stationed direct. And it will, all the planets are in forward motion until May 1st of 2023, when Pluto goes retrograde. So it's 97 days, no planets are retrograde, not even Chiron. And then in next year, in 2025, in 2024, it'll be a total of 96 days. Last year it was 85 days. But we can imagine that this is like a full speed ahead into co-creation and collaboration, progressive action toward a heartfelt intention. So here we are all gathered, and so we have a collective intent to illuminate our soul, to illuminate our purpose, to illuminate why we're here from a heartfelt place. So this is being exponentially magnified by the fact that all the planets are moving forward. Now, the downside can be that we move too fast and we don't necessarily pay attention to all the signs. So then there can be some reckless results and unintended reckless choices and unintended results. But this is the time, if you want to launch something and you've prepared and you've done a good job with that, you can do that. So also just wanted to say a little bit about what's happening in February. We've got the cross quarter today, and Uranus is square the sun at this time, because Uranus is at 15 Taurus at the Beltane cross quarter point. So we've got those two being activated right now. We've got Venus squaring Mars tomorrow, and Mars is still very near Aldebaran. And then Mercury is going to make its last conjunction to Pluto in Capricorn for over 200 years on February 10th. Right before it enters Aquarius the next day. And Venus is going to conjunct Neptune in Pisces, which is the divine feminine, attuning to the field of all possibilities and being able to source new dreams and new possibilities as she comes into connection with that. And here is where Venus and Neptune are on February 15th. Then the sun is going to conjunct Saturn in Aquarius for the last time for about 27 years. And so the sun is the source of light and life for our planet, and Saturn has to do with structure and form. So we can source new structures and new forms when Saturn and the sun come together. So we have that coming up pretty quick. Of course, then the sun will go into Pisces right after that on the 18th. There'll be a Pisces new moon and on February 19th and 20th as Venus is entering Aries. And then the next Venus gate, where Venus is reclaiming a healthy relationship to the solar plexus, where she stands in her power, not to have power over others and not to give her power away to others, but can stand in the power of who she truly is. And that's the intent of that particular gate. I also have included some of the most impactful events for 2023. Saturn will enter Pisces on March 7th, and it's in Pisces until May 24th of 2025. So that's going to bring a new energy. We've had Saturn in Aquarius, ideally helping us to connect into new visions and possibilities and revolutionizing our current reality and current structure. Pisces brings in the heart energy. It's all on board for the revolution, but to do it from the heart. And then Jupiter will be exact with Chiron at 14 Aries, and this can only happen about every 50 years. So that's going to happen on March 12th. And then on March 23rd, Pluto is going to enter Aquarius for the first time in about 240 some years. So and then we'll be in Aquarius until June 11th, goes back into Capricorn until March of 2024. And January of 2024, sorry. And so this is introducing us to a new energy, because Pluto has been dismantling the structures of our old reality in so many ways, like the education system, the government system, the money system, the all the different systems that we have been undergoing different kinds of disruption and change. There's eclipses that are listed here. There's Mercury retrogrades that are listed here. Jupiter is going to square Pluto on May 17th. I have an article that I've written about Jupiter and Pluto and what that all means. So if you're interested in that, I might also send that to you, Bonnie and Judy, that you can post a link so people can get more information about that. The lunar nodes we're going to talk about a little bit more in a moment. So I think those are the main things I wanted to talk about on what's happening here. Yeah, so what's happening on July 17th is the lunar nodes are going into a new sign. They're currently in Taurus, Scorpio, and the nodes move backwards through the sign. So they enter a new sign at 29 degrees of the previous sign. So we have Aries and 29 degrees Aries and 29 degrees Libra square the moon at 29 degrees Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn. So I went into great depth on this in the video with Kathy, if you want to know more about this. But the main thing to know is that the North Node has to do with our destiny and the South Node has to do with our past. So what are the things of the past holding us back from moving towards where we want to go? What fears do we need to face? What traumas, what conditioning, what things do we need to surrender to? And what is our destiny? It's like, if we're not being held back, and how can our skill set from the past help us move towards where it is we're going? So the thing to do is trust the universe has your back. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but I having done this a long time, and there's been many times where I was like, what the hell is going on? And then realized that it was for me, it wasn't happening to me. And so that I was truly being guided towards my destiny. So this is just something to keep in mind of what's going on. The thing that I wanted to focus the most on is the new Venus cycle. And that's because this is the divine feminine expression rising in a new cycle. So right now we're completing the cycle with the wisdom of the grandmothers. And so this time, from now until August, is the time to really tune in to grandmother wisdom. We all have it within us. We have it all around us. We can see it more easily around us when we are tuning into it from an inner place. And as we reclaim a healthy relationship with this grandmother wisdom, something that has been denied in our culture and in the current culture, actually pretty much around the planet, there are still places that do honor the grandmothers. And for those who don't know, that when the US Constitution was written, the founding fathers had enough wisdom to go to the Iroquois Confederacy and say, can we model our Constitution after yours? Because their Constitution had been working wonderfully for over 1,000 years. And they said, yes, but the one thing you must include in this Constitution is the wisdom of the grandmothers. You do not make any major decisions without their approval. So guess what was the thing that got left out? And they said, if you don't do this, you will wind up in trouble. So guess what? We're now in trouble. So we really want to honor the end of this cycle, hence the prayer to the grandmothers at the beginning. But on August 19th of 2023, Venus is rising into the morning sky. You'll see her just above the horizon, bright, brilliant, spectacular to see if you are up early enough before the sun. And she's starting this cycle in Leo. So this is the archetypal energy of the sovereign queen, the empress, the one who knows that her gift to this world is not so much what she does, but how she shows up. And she shows up from a place of great self-love, self-confidence, self-approval, self-acceptance, self-respect. She's solid in herself. So this will be a 19-month journey of being able to see all the places where we're not doing that and letting them go, releasing them, transforming them so we can come into a higher octave of being in that sovereign place of self-love. So I thought maybe it'd be fun just to do an invocation to the Leo meta goddess in honor of her getting ready to be the primary expression of the feminine on the world stage for 19 months starting in August. So here is the invocation. Oh, inspiring, magical, great shining one, queen of heaven and earth in all realms and dimensions, inspired by your brilliant love light, guide us into the depths of your mysteries. Thank you for blessing us with your wisdom and guidance, illuminating insights and glowing love, transforming all lower vibrational energy into the higher vibrational energy of divine love light, the divine love light that has always been our birthright. Thank you for guiding us to genuinely experience healthy self-love, self-confidence, self-approval, and self-respect, no matter what is happening in our outer reality. Thank you for assisting us in transforming our awareness so that we know how to truly love ourselves. And in so doing, we inspire others to do the same. It is done, it is so, and we give thanks. Blessed be. So this is an expression of the feminine that has also not been very honored in the culture. And we do have some stories of queens, like in Egypt, there was Hatshepsut and there was Cleopatra, and but they kind of, it wasn't like, it was kind of more of an anomaly than an actual like on that the patriarchal culture would have accepted that, except that somehow they had to. So our opportunity then, is to really come into that sovereign place within ourselves from that place of healthy self-love. So here on July 22nd happens to be the Magdalene feast day, July 22nd, something that was brought forth by the Catholic Church. I think they started honoring Magdalene in the 60s, and then she became a saint a little bit later after that. But so on her special day, Venus is going retrograde at 28 Leo. And what's amazing, so you see Venus, here's the sky map. In the evening sky, she'll be in the evening sky. She'll be under the star Regulus, the heart of the lion. Now, Regulus happens to be at 0 Virgo. That happened in 2011. So every 72 years, we have a 1 degree movement of the seasonal signs through the constellations. And so it had, Regulus had been in the sign of Leo, the seasonal sign of Leo, for 2,160 years. In the end of 2011, it shifted to Virgo. So Venus and Mercury are still, they're kind of in the head of the lion, but we call it the lion, not Leo, because of course, all the rest of the lion is in the seasonal sign of Virgo. And here's Mars. You can see in this chart here, Mars is at 7 Virgo. Mars is at 7 Virgo in the body of the lion. So the seasonal sign of Virgo overlays most of the lion now. And interesting, 15 degrees, the cross quarter for August is between the crab and the head of the lion. It's probably about halfway, right about here. Some is where the sun is at that point. So this is Regulus is one of the 4 royal stars. It is one of the stars of the ancient alchemists. So when planets are close to these stars, this is when they did their biggest ceremonies. So again, having Venus going retrograde here is remarkable. It is definitely worth paying attention to. And we're going to see that Venus comes back. Let me see, where is this? On September 3rd, Venus is going direct, and it's all the way back in the crab at 12 Leo. So most of the crab is all overlaid by the seasonal sign of Leo these days. And so she's coming back to this point, and then she's going to start moving forward again, and she'll come back across Regulus on October 3rd. And so this is all going to be happening in the morning sky. And one of the things we can just imagine is that how are these constellations, the crab and the lion, helping to inform this Venus cycle? And looking at the crab, one of the things that we could say is, we see it's also been known as Cancer. It's nurturing, it's supportive. It's like, how do we create a safe space for everyone to be who they really are? So how can we really show up and shine in the light of who we are and feel safe to do that? Because of course, we know that that didn't happen for a long time. It wasn't safe. Women got burned at the stake, that kind of thing. So this is part of what's being infused into this Venus cycle going forward. And for those of you who are turning a multiple of 8 during this Venus cycle, it's from August 19th, 2023 to March 29th, 2025. Then you are in a Venus return. If you have powerful Leo on your natal chart, then this Venus cycle will be significant to you personally. So these are the dates, and you can come back and look at them and just determine if this Leo cycle is personal for you, or if it's just something that is part of the collective energies. So again, Venus in Leo, she's the queen, the empress, and the healer. Sekhmet was also a healer, and she wears the solar disk on her head. And it's a crown representing her sovereignty, but also Sekhmet represents Venus with the sun, and how there's new energy that's being resourced from when Venus is with the sun. So she's really sourcing new love light codes, guiding us in ways of love, the ways of light, the ways of the sacred alchemical transformation. I got the opportunity to be in Egypt in 1999 and doing a trip, part of a journey to wholeness in my priestess community, and I got to go to the Sekhmet temple. This is the only place where there's a Sekhmet statue still left in the temple. And it was powerful. I just felt tears when I saw her. So Sekhmet's name is derived from Sekhem. It means power, or she who is powerful. And she transforms, she takes powerful, inspired action. And she is one of the main guides. We work with others too, but she's one of the main guides we work with in the Leo Venus cycle. And she invites us to claim our sovereignty and healthy self-love. And so I thought I'd share the Sekhmet mantra with you. You may want to find I love this mantra. You can find videos of people doing this mantra, but it is Sa, Sekhem, Sahu. Sa, the breath of life, Sekhem, sacred power, and Sahu is the realized aware human being, or the fully realized aware human being. So it suggests the sacred power of our breath, Sa, the breath of life, inspires the realization of our divinity within our human form. So this is part of what this cycle will be energizing for us in 2023 as we get towards August. So I'm going to complete my sharing and open up for questions, but I just wanted to share the Sekhmet goddess prayer. And we're invoking transformation through surrender, death, and rebirth. And as a way to kind of leave us on this note of the power of what's happening here in 2023. Beloved Sekhmet, keeper of the mysteries of death and rebirth, eminent and renowned as a facilitator of total transformation, Thank you for assisting me in feeling held, safe, and supported. As I face my fears and shadow side, thank you for transmuting all that holds me back from knowing and expressing my true self. Oh, wondrous Sekhmet, mighty Empress, gracious Goddess, thank you for showing me the precious secrets of surrender. Help me to die a good and peaceful death. Guide me in surrendering to all that is in the way of living my true mission and purpose, including awakening the sovereign Empress Queen within. Help me feel all my uncomfortable feelings, including uncertainty, insecurity, and self-doubt, as I transmute and transform them into confidence and courage, loving acceptance and worthiness, restoring magnificent cosmic wisdom, kindness, and compassion within and all around me. With gratitude, it is done, it is so, and so it is. Blessed be.
Kaylin, thank you so, so much for all of that. Wow, I'm like taking notes feverishly, and I'm so glad I have the opportunity to watch it again.
I know I went a little fast.
As you do,
I do.
and
Yeah.
that's why it's so wonderful to have the recording, because I couldn't keep up. But that's all right. I let it come into my body and just let it rest there, so that I think what I needed to have, I got, and when I go back again, I'll get more, for sure. It was just so absorbing. Thank you, dear heart. That was just great. And I haven't had any questions come in, but I have a question. And you've spoken so beautifully about the grandmothers. What if a person wants more information to learn more about what the grandmothers teach, what we need to know in our modern day and time about the grandmothers?
Yeah, I think actually I probably have it right here. There's lots of books that have been written, and here's a book, The Crone Oracles. And one of the things that we've been doing in Venus Alchemy, so if you want to do it just through we do a ceremonial connection with Venus at every Venus gate. And we've been working with the grandmothers, and we've been looking at modern day grandmothers and that kind of thing. But I know there's lots of books out there about this. And, one of the things that we've lost is our croning ceremonies. So we, and I've not done one. I've had priestess sisters here in Tucson who have done it, but I've never felt like I was wise enough or old enough, or whatever my judgments are about myself. Though I am about to be 67, so I think I probably could do that, and it would be like a valid thing. And also now I am an actual grandmother, so I have a grandson who's about to turn 3, so there's that as well. But there's our books out there. There's the circle. There is a circle of grandmothers that was brought together in 2004 in New York, where they brought 13 indigenous grandmothers from around the planet to reconvene a council of grandmothers, because there's a prophecy that says when the grandmothers return, then we'll start to begin to shift into a time of greater peace and plenty for everyone on the planet. Now, it's not like an overnight kind of thing, obviously, because, it just takes the time it takes. But they have been traveling around and doing ceremonies in different places. Some of them have their own things that they offer. Grandmother Wisdom, I think Flor de Mayo is one of the main ones but you could probably Google and they're here. They talk about supporting the 7 generations, the next 7 generations. I say several generations because I'm not limiting it to 7. But that, the actions that we take, the things that we do, how we're being inspired to show up now from a place of great self-love. How we love ourselves is how we love our world, and how we love our, this creation that we're in. And I think that being able to love ourselves no matter what, even when we're going through challenging times, That's not easy, and it's a practice, and it takes time to figure that out. So if we can come together with one another to do that and to support each other, and I find that people have been reflecting back to me things that I don't necessarily see, and I get it enough, I'm like, oh, maybe that's true. Maybe I do know something. Maybe I am wise. Maybe I am a grandmother. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yes, thank you very much. And Rebecca did send in a question. She says she has Venus in Leo in the 12th house. Will this be a significant cycle for me?
yes, absolutely. This cycle that we're in now, the Capricorn cycle, I have Mars in Capricorn, you know, it's tended to be a significant cycle for me, like life-changing events, even though it's not my Venus return. And the Leo cycle has also been very significant for me. And I have a lot of Leo. I have Leo on my midheaven, Jupiter in Leo, Pluto in Leo. I've got a lot of Leo going on. And that cycle has also been significant for me. One of the things I will say is we've had a lot of people in our Venus Alchemy group who come back to do all the cycles with us because it's life-changing to do it intentionally with ceremony, to go out and witness Venus and the moon together, to really bring that energy in and to do it in a group setting. Because when we are together, all of us are together, we exponentially increase the power of our intent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Kathy Forrest has mentioned another good grandmother book. It is The 13 Original Clan Mothers by Jamie Sams, and that's JAMISAMS.
Yeah,
So
Jamie
there's a-
Sams is amazing. She wrote the Sacred Path card book and deck, and also the animal medicine cards and other things. So highly recommend her. She's awesome.
Wonderful.
It is actually set up so you can read one every moon cycle, and each grandmother governs a moon cycle. And she also has a daily reading book called, I believe it's like Ancient Wisdom or something, where you can read a daily reading of each grandmother every day.
I love that. I don't know how I didn't know that, because I have her other books.
Right.
I'm inspired to go get this one. Yeah, totally.
We use it in sacred rhythms. You know, it puts you in the vibe of the moon cycle and whatever's going on.
And I think about these Venus moon conjunctions in the whatever the moon, it's right after the new moon when the Venus moon conjunctions are happening in the evening sky and representing each chakra. So I imagine also the grandmother moon energy would be really helpful and as a way to work with that. Love that. Thank you.
Judy has asked that if we're new to this information, what's the best way to tune into all that you have shared? And I think we covered a little bit of that with the books, but what else, Kaylin?
Well, yeah. Of course, people go to my website. I've got tons of articles and videos and things that I've done that could be helpful. And I will also, one of the things I want to do is I'm going to send you guys a link to a page that has the story of Anana as it describes the Venus cycle. It's a 27-minute journey with music and that kind of thing. So people who maybe aren't familiar with it can listen to that. And even if you are, it's kind of fun to do. I like to go back and listen to it myself in like a meditative state. So that gives you a sense of how the Sumerians were so attuned to the Venus cycle that they created the story of Inanna's descent into the underworld to describe how Venus moves through the sky. And they did ceremony as a culture to reenact that story, especially when it was at the spring equinox. We've been doing it, and every 19 months there's a new Venus cycle. There's 5 Venus cycles. You see the 5-pointed star behind me with Venus sitting on that, and she meets with the waning moon in the morning sky and the waxing moon in the evening sky, and the sun in the middle of the cycle is behind her, and that's when she goes through the death and rebirth process. So it's really powerful. It's been life-changing. I'm like so excited about how this helps us to reclaim something that's been lost in terms of knowing how to work with the cycle of Venus, which is all about the divine feminine. And Nicole Christine, my mentor in the priestess process, the last thing that she had me do was create more information about the Venus cycle, because she wanted to include that in everything that she did. And then I did it, and she died like less than a month later. But then now I do this Venus work in ways that I never even imagined I was going to be doing way back then when I was creating that information for her. So it's powerful.
We have a comment from Mary Ursitz. I always love the prayers you share with your presentation. Thank you again. They are really fabulous.
Thank you.
And I'm glad we have the videos to run by them. I do want to say, for those of us in the Metro Atlanta area, if you will go to Phoenix and Dragon, thank you, Candace Apple, that amazing store on Roswell Road. I'm sure Candace can help you get whatever information and books you are looking for. So if you want, in person, up close and personal help, Candace is your go-to. So thank you, Kaylin. It's always such a joy. Your energy is fabulous, and you just light up the space. Your information will really give us something to think about and things to work for and towards as we go through these various cycles. So bravo. Okay, so we are 3 minutes ahead of schedule. That's marvelous. That's perfect. Oh, Betty Brown, please repeat the Sekhmet mantra and its meaning for each piece.
Okay, and you will have access to the slides, so you can go back and look it up yourself too, just saying, but I'm happy to do that too. So it is Sa Sekhem Sahu. Sa, S-A, is the breath of life. Sekhem, S-E-K-H-E-M, is sacred power. And Sahu, S-A-H-U, is the fully realized, aware human being. And so the mantra is about the sacred power of our breath, inspiring the realization of our divinity within our human form. And that's really what Leo's all about. It's like how to remember that we are divine beings, not even if you don't have any Leo on your chart. It's like we all come in as divine beings. And because of, the culture and all of the different reasons that gets programmed out of us. But this is a time where we can reclaim that sovereignty, that essence of our divinity, we don't have to do anything to prove ourselves to anyone, because our presence is a gift. Our presence is a gift.
What a wonderful note to end on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have now 17 minutes for you to